Hey, what's up, guys? It is currently September 25th, 2020, and Battlestate Games just finished their development podcast. In the podcast, they basically went over the 12.8 update, what's coming, what we can expect, and some of the new changes and features coming to Tarkov. They showed off a lot of stuff. I took a lot of notes. So basically, this is going to be a TLDR for the entire 2.5 hour podcast. So you guys don't have to go watch it all. As a reminder, I do stream on Twitch multiple times a week. The link will be down in the description below. Feel free to tune in and ask me about any of this stuff or just about Tarkov tips in general whenever I'm live. So, just as a heads up, I will be going through the confirmed content, the actual material that they showed us, and stuff that we saw. And then I will talk about some of the notes I took about more of the things that they talked about but didn't show. So, let's get into it, guys. As you can see, I took loads of notes from the podcast. I tried to basically separate them based on what they were about, and we're going to go through them. So we got two new confirmed guns that they showed us in the podcast. We got the Colt 45A1. This is basically a Colt Design 45 ACP pistol. It was designed for Marine use. It, according to Nikita, is better than the 1911, and Nikita said that if he could have a handgun, that would be his kind of gun. We also saw the RFB. We were told that it is going to be cheaper than the FAL, and it is going to take very little upgrade to be what I assume is going to be its meta version. Um, from the build they showed us, it looks like it has a crazy amount of recoil. It looks like it kicks a lot, and basically it takes FAL mags. We saw it using 20 rounders and 30 rounders. I would assume that the drum mags will work, but we'll have to wait and see. We got a bunch of confirmed attachments shown in the podcast. The Vepr Hunter, we saw the suppressor and the body. We weren't actually able to see what they were called, but we did see a stock next to the Vepr Hunter that was called the SVD style stock. It appeared to be the exact same one that was on the Vepr Hunter, so I'd assume that that's what that was for. So that's probably going to be the new Hunter Vepr stock for the gun. We also saw the AKX-47 handguard. They called it basically the aggressor, but that's just what it's called, the AKX-47. We saw it on the AK-104. We don't know any stats about it yet. We saw the Lancer LCH-7 12.5-inch M-Lock. We saw it on an SR-25. Basically, it's an AR-15 new handguard. It'll have minus 1% recoil and plus 10 ergo. We saw the Scorpius AK hand grip. This was actually on the AK-104 that they were messing with that was showing off the X-47 handguard. If you look closely, it also had the Scorpius AK hand grip. Once again, we don't know any stats on it. We saw the SOC 12 Bravo 18 handguard. This is basically another Sega 12 handguard. It'll have minus 3 recoil, plus 5 ergo. We saw the Furfans muzzle brake. So what that is, it's going to be another 5.56 muzzle brake. It'll have minus 7% recoil, plus 1 accuracy, no ergo hit. So it's kind of a mid-tier muzzle brake in terms of what we have available right now. We did see the RRD 4C muzzle brake. It was just sitting in the stash. We don't know anything about it yet. And we did see the TD 4 that was on the AK-104. Once again, we don't know anything about it. We just know that it's coming. We saw 2 new versions of medical supplies. We saw the S-Mark bandages. Basically, these are hemostatic tourniquets. They have 1 out of 1 use, and they will be used to stop heavy bleeds. And we also saw the Calic B hemostats. This is basically a hemostatic injector. It'll have 3 out of 3 uses, and it'll be used to basically instantly stop whatever the heavy bleed you have. And it'll have multiple uses, so if you have multiple heavy bleeds, you can use it multiple times and fix your heavy bleeds. We got some new clothing confirmed. There will be a new set of upper and lowers for the bear. They are called the G99. We did actually see those. They did show them to us. They also confirmed that there will be another upper and lower for the USEC, but they pretty much told us we can't show you everything, so we're not going to show it to you. They did add berets to the game. They showed us a whole bunch of colors of berets. I think I saw black, blue, purple. They were just loads of colors. They did say that they were not adding red. They said that to the Russian military, those are considered sacred. So he assumed that if they added red berets, they would probably upset some of the Russian operators, so they decided not to do it. We did see a new confirmed armor, the Korund-VM. It is confirmed to be a Class 5 armor. It'll give you 9% turn speed reduction, 10% ergo reduction, 10% movement reduction, and then it is armored steel, and it'll have 44.6 points. They said that this is going to be a found and raid only item, so we'll see. They did confirm another new rig. It's called the Thunderbolt Compact Chest Rig. It'll be 16 slots. It'll basically compare with the Triton. It'll have 7 dual slots, and then it'll have 2 single slots. And then that is apparently also found in raid only. They basically said that it's just another cheapo rig. They confirmed 3 new bags. We saw them in the hideout. We saw the LK3F Tourist. It is a 12 slot, found in raid only. And it is basically an open layout. It's just 12 slots. We saw the F5 Switchblade, which is 30 slots, which is also an open layout where it's just 6x5. We then saw the 4F Terminator. This is a 40 slot, but this one is actually really interesting. It'll have a 5x4 upper slot. It'll have a 5x2 lower slot, and then another 5x2 lowest slot. Basically, they talked about the comfortability of these bags, but they don't show us any stats yet. But they did mention comfortability. So clearly, when they add comfortability to the game as a stat object, these are probably going to be good bags for that. They did confirm 2 new helmets. They showed us the Rice T. It looks a lot like an Alton. It's made of Titan. They basically said it's better than the Alton, and then they said this is the actual PUBG helmet. This is what the actual PUBG helmet is. It'll have 92.7 damage points. It'll have minus 3% movement, minus 8% turning, minus 4% ergonomics. So it does sound like it'll give you better stat. It'll have worse hits to your stats or better hits to your stats than the Alton, and then it appeared to have the same visibility. They showed it for like a split second. It appears that it's the same exact visibility of the Alton, so it's not going to be any different there. We also saw the Galvian Cayman Ballistic. They called it next gen. I don't really know what that means, but that's what they said. It's got a pleek top armor. So it basically has a top armor. It's kind of like a slap plate. It'll have 39.4 hit points. We don't know what kind of armor class that is yet. We don't even know what kind of armor class the main helmet is. It will have a new mandible. It'll be different than the mandible that's already in the game. It's a little thinner. It'll have 18.7 hit points. And then there's the new FAV eye visor, 17.5 hit points. Once again, we don't know armor ratings for any of this stuff yet. We did confirm we saw them put headphones underneath this new helmet with the mandible on. So unless they change the ability to put headphones on under the mandible that's already in the game like they did before, we'll finally have a helmet with a mandible that you can put headphones under again. I really liked when you could put headphones under the mandible last wipe. I was a little bummed that they removed it, but whatever. Also, the FAV visor, it appears basically it goes on the night vision mount. It like mounts to the helmet and then just kind of hangs down. These theoretically could go on any night vision mount helmet. This is not confirmed. This is just my hypothesis. They could do that. They might not, though. We don't know. We just saw them on the new helmet, but it did appear that as long as there's a night vision scope, theoretically it could go on almost any helmet. But we'll have to wait and see. We got a new set of confirmed headphones. They're called the Excel 500 BTs. These were what were shown going under the Cayman Ballistics. So maybe like last wipe when they made it so that the razors could go under the mandible of the other helmet, these will be specifically for that helmet. We don't know yet. We'll wait for 12.8 to kind of see. Let's scroll down. We have lots of notes. They talked about the compass. Basically, it shows directions, and then it'll be a permanently protected item. Once you buy it and have it, it'll be in its own slot. It'll be protected. You can't have it looted off of you. And it basically is, there's an animation in the game. It pulls out a compass. You look at it. The north dial stays north, and you can basically see which direction in terms of degrees you're looking. So like in PUBG, the compass at the top, if it says 360 degrees, the compass, when you look forward, it'll be on the 360 degree dial when you're looking north. So that's how that's going to work. They did show the new heavy blood loss feature. Basically, if you take enough damage, you will start heavy bleeding. In the build that they showed, I was a little confused about how it worked, because when he started bleeding, it had a countdown. His heavy blood loss had a countdown, whereas right now, blood loss basically just goes until you heal it. For some reason, their build had a countdown going. I don't know if that's the way it's going to work, or if it's just going to or if it's just going to be the way it is now, where you start heavy bleeding and it'll go until you fix it. Um, Basically, the heavy blood loss system will also have new blood trails. If you start heavy bleeding, it's going to drip blood on the ground. You can actually see this on the scavs they kill in the raid. The scavs are clearly heavy bleeding and there's blood all over the ground. So that's kind of a new feature. There will be blood trails now. They said that the IFAKs, and I'm guessing the Salewas and stuff, will temporarily heal the heavy bleed. They didn't really have a great chance to show it. They took a bunch of damage, got a heavy bleed, but by the time he started using his IFAK, it appeared like the heavy bleed had disappeared. I think that has to do with it being a dev build. We'll have to wait and see and read the actual patch notes when they come out and confirm how that's going to work. They added a new Kvass 0.6 liter bottle. I think this is like a Russian thing. I don't understand what the kvass is. They made a lot of jokes about it. They called it a traditional Slavic drink. I'm assuming it's an alcoholic beverage that Russians are into. I don't really know. Feel free to leave a comment if you understand it. I didn't understand it, but it will have 15 energy and 65 hydro. And then some of the new stuff, we got a new sorting mechanic. Every container will have an option to sort, so like every box you can go into it and sort it individually. I did see that when you sort, there's like an overall inventory sort button that if you click that, it'll also sort all of your containers as well. So say your med boxes, you like them a certain way, and then you hit the overall sort button. Currently in their build of the game, it would resort your med box. They said the sort is based on their algorithm. That's the way they explained it. They have an algorithm for the sorting feature. They said they're not sure if it's perfect, but it's better than nothing. And then it did have some small issues. It doesn't sort rigs in an expected way. And then there was clearly a bug when the containers were full. If a container is full, the sort feature would basically bug out and just be an endless load wheel. So that's all the confirmed features. We did see them do. I want to talk about some of the other little notes that they talked about. So let's talk about that now. They did talk about new merch will be coming to the website. Keep an eye on that. They said in the next week or two, new merch will be up there. They did show a new mug. They did show it off. It looks like a Killa mug. They said there are going to be a new UI upgrades. We didn't really see a lot of this. It appeared that when you are full health, your chest and your limbs will be green now. I guess that's one of the things they talked about. They did say that there's a lot of changes coming. We didn't really get to see a lot of it in the podcast, but they weren't really trying to show off those as features. They said new animations will be coming in 12.8.1, whatever that means. So whenever 12.8 comes out, I'm guessing the very next update will probably have whatever these new animations they talked about coming into the game. There will also in 12.8 be the experimental high quality color feature. Basically, this will probably, when you deselect it, it'll be pre-selected when you start the game. You can deselect it. They said it should give you a performance boost in the game. My guess is it'll probably lower some of the colors and remove some of the colors from the game. They did say that most of the team is working on Streets of Tarkov, so it is a major part of the project right now. They are pretty much mostly working on Streets of Tarkov as they finish up 12.8 and they're working on 12.9. We did confirm, this was just like a little thing that I noted. They took out the compass, and the way that the maps are oriented on like the wiki, it would appear that north is by the vehicle extract of dorms. That is not the case. It appears that north on customs is if you walk up to the RUAF gate, if you look at the gate, that is north. That appears to be due north, looking at the gate of RUAF, which is actually really interesting. So basically, if you took the map that's on the wiki and flipped it over, then you'd have north and south correct. We did see some of the weights and things in the test build they said are not permanent. I think the compass was like 0.5 kilograms, and Nikita basically said a lot of this stuff is due to change, and it's just kind of placeholder for even just like the next week. Don't freak out because you saw that the compass is made of lead, is the joke he made. They didn't show us the Vepr Hunter because it has bugs that will basically break the game, is what they said. People kept asking in the chat, show us the Vepr Hunter, show us the Vepr Hunter. And they basically said, we can't. There's bugs on it right now that would basically crash our game or we'd have to restart. I found that really funny because a lot of people think the Vepr Hunter ruins the game in general. I thought it was really funny that they basically said that the new stock and suppressor, they can't show it off because it currently breaks the game. I thought that was really funny. They commented on the arena. If you look at the map right now in their build of the game, you paused it when they went to the map, you can see a section in the arena. It's to the left of labs. Basically, they talked about how that is currently like a testing area for them. It's not the actual arena mode that's going to be in the game. It's kind of just a testing area for their build of the game. So don't get too excited about seeing it. They did say there is a new Bear 3 voice. I'm pretty sure their character was using it. They were messing around with it on stream. There are lots of new Scav voice lines. We heard Scav screaming during the entire podcast. It appears that there's quite a few new Scav voice lines. Yeah, the arena map, I already talked about that. They added a new quick backpack drop feature. This is honestly pretty cool. Basically, if you're walking around and you're over encumbered, there will be a new hotkey where if you need to, it'll just drop your bag, and it appears that you'll have like your main hand stay on your rifle, and then the other bag will toss the bag out. That's the way it worked in the podcast build. So I'm assuming that's how it's going to work when we get it. They said 12.9 malfunctions are going to come to the game. I'm not sure how I feel about this. They really need to work on what's going to cause malfunctions, how easy it's going to be to maintain. But I can tell you this, with as many times as I get head eyes, the last thing I want is to be in a gunfight and my gun just randomly jams for no reason. I hope that they really consider the durabilities you need so that it doesn't just feel like randomly like 20 rounds into my gun, I just get a random jam that I can't control. They talked about they like the compass because it'll be good for allowing directional call outs. They kind of messed around in the newer area of customs. And they pulled it out and they basically said, oh, if there's guys over there, I can now call out their actual direction and not just kind of give these vague call outs that nobody understands. Unfortunately, there was no mention of the Vector or the UMP. They went through pretty much the whole podcast, never even brought them up. They confirmed 12.8 there will not be a wipe. They also confirmed that the Streets of Tarkov will not be this year. It'll be into 2021. 12.8, they said, will nerf the GL launchers. They didn't say how. They just said, we're listening to you, and we know that you say the GLs are too strong, so we're going to make changes to the rounds. We're gonna adjust them in 12.8. They talked about the stim pouch that's planned. They said it'll come between 12.8 and 12.9. So there will probably be like an intermittent update before we get 12.9 where they just add it. The way that I've heard is it's like a one slot. It'll basically have 6 slots for stims. Theoretically, it'll be just a little thing where like stims just get like placed in little placeholders. But it'll basically be a 1 slot item that expands to 6 slots. That'll be pretty cool. They said 12.8 will have 2 new hideout related skills. They didn't say how they worked, what they were. They didn't show us any of that. They just said that in 12.8 there will be 2 new hideout related skills. And then they did say some features are under work that they couldn't even show in the build that they showed us. So there are quite a few things that we didn't get to see in the podcast. That's pretty much the most important stuff that they went through, and then they went into their Q&As, and I made some notes on those. They said, somebody asked, what's the longest thing you spend your dev time on? They said network issues. Somebody asked if the bunny hop will return. They said the bunny hop could return. They removed it because apparently there was a bug that people were exploiting the speed hack, so they just took it out or are trying to take it out because currently I think it still works. They talked about private servers. They're being worked on. They're almost ready. They talked about the next competition for Tarkov will be on the current server system, and then the one after that theoretically could be on private servers. They asked about the FN Scar. They showed an airsoft version of the weapon on stream. They said maybe in 12.9, but they didn't give any actual confirmation. They said somebody asked if they would consider removing the flea market. Nikita pretty much straight up said, we're not going to remove the flea market. That's not going to happen. They talked about custom lobbies. He said that towards the end of the dev cycle, when the game's pretty much close to being done, there will be a PvE game mode. Basically, you and your friends will be able to go into maps and just do PvE stuff, mess around with scav bosses. It says basically it's a chance for you to play with friends. There will be no progression, and then it'll basically be a chance for you to train with friends. So, like, if you guys want to learn callouts together, go into maps and just like mess around and figure out what your callouts are, you're gonna have that chance. They asked about inertia. He talked about he used this question as a chance to talk about the future test servers. They're called the ETS. He said this would basically be the place where they will test out things like no flea market, inertia, etc. They do want to open up a program where you will be able to apply to the test servers. They said this won't be for streamers. It'll be for dedicated community members. Basically, they'll have access to the test servers and they'll be able to go in, test out things, give accurate bug reports. They said that they're going to open this up to applications for community members. So we'll have to wait and find out more information. That's actually super exciting. There will be people live testing upcoming patches of the game, not just in-house dev members. I think it'll allow quicker bug reports and better bug finds. That's actually super exciting. Somebody did ask in the Q&A update on the UMP Invector, and he basically said everything's being worked on. He didn't give a confirmation that it's coming in 12.8, and I'm going to be honest, if it doesn't come in 12.8, I'm actually going to be very upset because they've talked endlessly about these guns for months and months and months, and it's really, I just can't believe if it doesn't come in 12.8, I'm actually going to be very frustrated because we've been waiting forever. In my opinion, they shouldn't have added the 45 ammo if they weren't ready to add guns for it. It just feels like a giant waste right now to be able to use the 1911 and not be able to shoot anything else with 45 ACP. But that's just my opinion. And then they basically, the last question that they talked about was, will there ever be any specific like match point ammo for bolt action rifles? Basically, the question was targeting the idea that, well, bolt actions kind of suck. Why would I use one when I can just use a DMR and just semi-auto 308 rounds at somebody? Why would I use a bolt action rifle? Nikita said potentially, yeah, they could add ammo that will be specifically for bolt action rifles to kind of put them in a better place. None of that's been decided yet, but potentially, yes, it could be added in the game. So that's everything they talked about, guys. They did say the patch notes are confirmed next week. So hopefully I'm guessing next Thursday, we should have patch notes. We should be able to see what exactly changes are coming to the game. We will know every gun coming when they drop them. But this is everything we know now after the dev podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know this ended up being a lot longer than you probably expected, but they did go over a whole lot of stuff in the podcast. It was super interesting to watch. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Good luck on your Tarkov raids. Be safe out there, and let's look forward to the patch notes.